Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Brendan and I hope all of you guys are having a great day no matter where you guys are from. We have another cryptocurrency market analysis and breakdown for you because there has been a lot happening in the crypto market this week. Despite cryptos being down around 1 to 2% across the board on the day, this is only because if we go over to our chart, crypto's up about 8% on the week, or at least Bitcoin is, and most altcoins are up even more than that, around, I would say, 10 to 12% across the board. So when we're going through this and we're seeing that most cryptos are just temporarily down on the day, this really isn't too bad because on the week, crypto is definitely still very, very green. But we definitely have a few outliers. I know Axie Infinity's up around 4%. A couple other ones like AVAX and Avalanche up around 5%. And then Algorand up about 4.5% as well. So there are certainly outliers that are still moving independently from the overall trend. Of course, I like to see my GameFi and my metaverse tokens moving, as that is an industry inside of cryptocurrency that I'm passionate for. I love it all, but that one definitely is an industry that has sparked my attention. And I'm sure, as you guys can tell by the near dozen tabs that I have open right now, there's a lot happening in the news. We're going to be diving into all of this and breaking this down. We have the New York Stock Exchange starting to get involved with NFTs. Warren Buffett, the man, the myth, the legend investor, might be finally dipping his toes into a little bit of cryptocurrency. We're going to be covering the Super Bowl ads and mainstream adoption happening inside of the United States, and some people that may be able to finally pay for their taxes in cryptocurrency by the end of this summer. So if any of this and a whole lot more sounds interesting, make sure you stick around for the entire length of this video, as there will be important information discussed the entire way through. But let's go ahead and get started in the news, and we'll work our way back to the chart before wrapping up with the news like normal. Now, most recently, the New York Stock Exchange has filed for a patent or multiple patents so that they can trade non-fungible tokens, otherwise known as NFTs, alongside cryptocurrencies. If this does not scream mainstream adoption like a slap in the face, I'm not sure what will. This is massive. Now, will people want to go through something so centralized like the New York Stock Exchange to trade NFTs and cryptos? Probably not. The mainstream crypto people will not want to go through something like the New York Stock Exchange. However, what this does offer is a lot of availability for more traditional and old-time investors, or maybe even larger institutional movers who want to come in with something that they know and love and something that they truly understand. And so that's where I see the implication of this happening. At the end of the day, is this going to change for the average person who's been trading crypto every single day for years now? No, this isn't really going to make much of a difference to you, but this is mainstream adoption for those of us who are not in the same boat and have the same sort of comfortability as me or you might have. So this obviously just coming out literally like an hour or two ago. I see this as some mainstream news. Definitely love to see this level of adoption happening, which is something that we're seeing every single day. Now, am I bullish on cryptos long term? I think I say this every video, but the answer is always yes. With news like this coming out, despite whatever the short term has to offer, this makes me so excited for the long-term potential of cryptocurrency, and it solidifies the idea to me that it's here to stay. Now, on top of all this, we have the living legend Warren Buffett investing $1 billion, that's with a B, like for Bitcoin, into a Bitcoin-friendly neobank, and he's also dumping his Visa and MasterCard stocks. This is quite the shocker, at least to me. For those of you who do not know, Warren Buffett has been one of the most anti-crypto billionaires that are out there right now. He has been very adamantly against cryptocurrencies, referring to it as rat poison. But with him dumping his traditional, I guess you can call them banking or credit companies like Visa and MasterCard, and investing into a Bitcoin-friendly neobank that can't help you, they can't make you want to see, how do I word this? This makes you want to believe that he's starting to see the value in cryptocurrency. Whether it's actually investing in cryptocurrency or investing in institutions that are going to be involved with cryptocurrency, I think that even he is starting to recognize that this is here to stay. There's no way around it. And if he wants to be completely diverse, especially with inflation going through the roof right now. This is going to be the way to do it. And as every intelligent investor, in my opinion, will come to believe soon, there is not a if about cryptocurrency, but it's more so of a question of when will you get involved with it. It's a massive force in the industry, which is why we saw 5 separate Super Bowl ads five separate Super Bowl ads for cryptocurrency during this year's Super Bowl. What I think is the most notable one of all of this was the Coinbase ad where they had it bouncing around the screen like the old, like it was almost like the old DVD screen, where it's bouncing from corner to corner. And this was wildly successful. This was so interesting to see in the news because you had mainstream like banking related news or financial news that was totally ripping on this idea and saying it was a massive failure. But the numbers come out and the numbers don't lie. Shortly after this, so much traffic came into Coinbase's website that they temporarily went down. And the following day, they jumped from 186 on the US App Store to number 2. I'm not sure how any articles could have published. I'm sure they're all gone by now because now that the numbers are out, there's no way to say that it was a failure. I think it was a massive success. The best ads from the Super Bowl this year, unbiasedly, were the crypto ads. The FTX and the Coinbase ads were brilliant. They were funny, they were entertaining, and they were eye-catching. And I think they were wildly successful. And with an app jumping from 186 to number 2, I don't think that you can really argue anymore that there was a lack of success here. They spent around $14 million to get this ad for Coinbase. And I believe it was about a 1-minute long ad. So needless to say, they offered a $15 incentive for those who signed up by scanning the QR code on their TV. And a lot of people took that offer. So was this a success? Yes. And also this is showing that this is becoming more mainstream. And there is this reoccurring theme that we're seeing where cryptocurrencies and crypto companies really want to enter into the sports industry. We're seeing that in fighting and in football and in basketball, baseball, racing, and more to touch on that in just a second because we have more articles to talk on that. But a lot of cryptocurrency companies want to dip their feet into the sports world, and it's working very well. Now, Bitcoin and Ether are on the rise as the Ukraine and Russia tensions appear to ease. This one came out yesterday, which, as we can see, cryptocurrency saw quite the nice candle at the sign of a slight ease in what's happening in Russia and Ukraine. This makes me believe that if we're seeing just a little bit of relief in tension over there and cryptocurrency is able to move up 8%, what will happen when all of this is resolved? And I guess maybe that's more of an if question, if this gets resolved, when this gets resolved. If this is to disappear, my belief is that cryptocurrency will start ripping. The stock market, I also think, will start ripping. And if we're going to go over to the chart over here, we can see that as soon as this was announced, oil started tanking yesterday. Oil came in with the massive red candle. It started dropping, and Bitcoin immediately started going on the rise. So if this does get resolved, I firmly believe that crypto is going to go on an absolute ripping and recovery. And that is something that I am eagerly awaiting. Again, maybe it's more of a question of a if, maybe it's a question of when. I guess it depends on what side of the spectrum that you're on. But if you're a crypto enthusiast, it was nice to see the green candle nonetheless. But just kind of a thought that's been stirring in the back of my mind. But on the US side of politics, Colorado is trying to accept crypto for tax payments by the end of this summer. If you guys have been watching any of the past videos, I've talked about Wyoming and also Arizona that are trying to do this, and I believe there's another state as well. But Colorado will start accepting cryptocurrencies for tax and other payments to the state by the end of the summer. By the end of the summer of 2022. The governor Jared Polis said this to a CoinDesk interview on Wednesday, which is, I believe, actually this morning. So this is massive news. We are seeing more and more states want to be bullish on crypto. This has to be a reoccurring theme of what's happening because we have talked about so many different forms of crypto regulation positively happening inside and outside of the United States. And there's just so much to unravel here. It's one thing after another, and we almost can't keep up with it. But I want to go back to the Bitcoin chart and take a look at what's happening over here. And again, we cover all of this actually in a couple of our groups. So if you're interested in getting access to all this information early, check out the links in the description down below. We have a couple of different groups like Crypt Nation where you're able to join and get access to all this information early. We're posting articles, and I do all my technical analysis in a lot more detail on there. So if you like what I have to talk about and you want to get it in more depth and you want to get it early, head over to Crypt Nation. That's going to be your spot to do it. And also we have a free seminar, a free conference coming up. No strings attached. Just sign up for it, and we're actually going to be interviewing 40 to 50 separate leaders inside the cryptocurrency industry. People from a lot of the names that you know. It's going to be really cool. It's going to be free. I highly advise you to tune into it. I'm actually going to be one of the hosts of it, interviewing a lot of these guests. So if you like the way that I conduct my research and my explanations, you're going to like me interviewing some of the leaders in the industry. So check down in the description down below, and there'll be a link to that as well. But coming back to the chart over here, Bitcoin on the move once again, and Bitcoin seeing a nice little uptrend. Of course, we can see this from our swing low over here. General market sentiment of Bitcoin is up around 30 to 35%. We're seeing a really nice recovery from Bitcoin so far. If you were able to catch the bottom perfectly, you'd be up around 30% right now. But the key level that I'm watching is that, of course, Bitcoin is starting to touch its moving averages once again. I've mentioned this several times inside of Crypt Nation already, but this is a key level that I have been watching. I'm still watching to see, can Bitcoin break its moving averages, and can Ethereum also go along with it? And then if so, what's the volume going to look like? Because volume is most definitely falling off over here, which leads me to believe that Bitcoin could be coming into a squeeze. So if you guys want to get kind of my thoughts as to where exactly my support and resistance levels are, I'm going to cover that in the Crypt Nation. But general market sentiment of Bitcoin right now is definitely a little bit of a chop zone. And there could be some nice and strong price action to come, and potentially in the not so distant future. Back to the news. With rates on the rise, Tom Lee sees money from speculative stocks eventually flowing into cryptocurrency. And I would actually take this to the next level and say and explain that especially with bonds inside of the United States, most bonds are now at the point where they have gotten so rough and so bad where you are guaranteeing yourself to lose money by taking a bond. You're saying, I will guarantee myself. Think about that for a second. You're saying, I will guarantee to lose money by taking this because that's where bonds are at right now. And so are people going to want to guarantee themselves through bonds to lose money? Ultimately, I think the answer is no. And I think you're going to see a transition over time of people getting out of bonds and getting into stablecoin staking or traditional cryptocurrency staking or lending or just cryptocurrency in general. This is going to be one of those solutions, and I think you're going to start to see these financial institutions and these hedge funds and people with real serious money not want to take bonds anymore. Why? Because no one wants to have a guaranteed loss when you could have success through the world of blockchain in a number of different ways. So I think he's certainly right. I think money from speculative stocks and these other sources are going to eventually flow into cryptocurrency because they're tired of getting a guaranteed loss. Like, no one wants to take a bond with a negative yield rate, right? But at the end of the day, you can only tell them about it so much. Another cool thing that I saw, in addition to the New York Stock Exchange actually expanding into this NFT marketplace, was JP Morgan looking at business opportunities inside of the metaverse and being the first bank or financial institution to dip their feet into the metaverse. They actually have a lounge now inside of, I believe it's Decentraland. Could be wrong, it could be Sandbox, but I believe they now have a lounge inside of Decentraland, which is really quite cool to see the banks that cryptocurrency is arguably fighting against now joining in and saying, all right, let's get our feet into the metaverse. We want to be some of the first movers in here because clearly this has substance and this has a future. and ultimately what do they have to risk by joining it. So as we can see by this article over here, of course, JP Morgan is the first bank inside of the metaverse, and they're looking at more business opportunities. Something that's super exciting. Going back to the idea of sports here, Red Bull's F1 team signs a $150 million deal, sponsorship deal with the crypto exchange Bybit. This goes back to the idea that cryptocurrency is definitely trying to penetrate into the sporting industry in a number of different ways. This is just another one that is on the radar. Of course, we have things like the NFL, MLB, NBA. Now we have racing, really across the board, even the UFC. I mean, Crypto.com is the lead sponsor of the UFC. Across the board, there's a lot of cryptocurrency adoption happening inside of the sporting industry. I think this is something that we're going to continue to see because it's being wildly successful. Our final article of the day, crypto mining. This was a cool one. Crypto mining host Bitriver Russ had a net zero carbon footprint in 2021. We are starting to see really creative ways for cryptocurrency mining to happen, and to have a net zero carbon footprint for an entire mining operation is certainly cool. So for everyone that is super eco-friendly out there and they want cryptocurrency to be a more green process, this is living proof that it is possible through a hydroelectric power station actually in Russia. Now, will other people eventually move over to this? I think, yeah, it's definitely very possible. But in another sense, we are almost moving away from this proof of work concept. I think we're seeing a lot of cryptocurrencies move to something like proof of stake. And the carbon footprint that cryptocurrency will have, I think, will, in a sense, go down over time from mining as we know it today and as we've known it as the past. But nonetheless, I don't want to rip on this. It's certainly something that is really cool to see in the news. It's awesome to see that there are new ways in development and new headlines like this coming out, because there's a lot of negative connotation around crypto mining and how it's done. But this is a really good, positive, eco-friendly way that it's happening inside of the world today. So that is going to round us off on the board of cryptocurrency today. A pretty long video nonetheless, probably one of the longer ones that we've had in a while, but there has just been so much happening in the world of cryptocurrency that we had to cover at least a good portion of it. Prices are back on the rise. I believe we're even green on this week. Great, the past couple days have been green. We've seen a nice rally, and I'm excited to see how Bitcoin tests resistance. Of course, the long term and the fundamentals of Bitcoin have never looked better. The fundamentals get better every single day. It looks like Ethereum gas prices continue to drop, and the ecosystem is always building despite what's happening in the short-term price. So if you guys did like this video and like the information that I have to say, consider dropping a like, consider subscribing, and leave me a comment, because all of that really does help out with the YouTube algorithm and get this video and ones like it out to more people. So I hope you all did enjoy. Definitely check out all those links in the description down below. We have that free conference coming up. It's going to be a really good time. There's going to be a lot of people that you want to hear from that are leaders in the industry. You're not going to want to miss it. If you want to check out Crypt Nation, there's also a link to that in the description down below as well. But thank you all so much for watching. I hope you did enjoy, and until next time, I will see you all in the next video.